In today's globalised economy, the threat of financial crimes such as money laundering and terrorist financing poses a significant challenge to governments and financial institutions worldwide. To combat these illicit activities and safeguard the integrity of the financial system, countries enact anti-money laundering (AML) and countering the financing of terrorism (CFT) regulations. In the United States, these regulations are robust and complex, reflecting on the country's commitment to combating financial crime on a global scale. But what laws has the United States enacted, and how are they having an effect on money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism? In today's video, we will be taking a look at what is AML-CFT, what AML-CFT regulations has the United States enacted, and how has the United States regulations affected AML and CFT? Hello and welcome to another KYC Lookup video where we bring you AML related content to help you enhance your knowledge in the fight against money laundering. Before diving into today's video, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Oh, and don't forget to leave us a comment with any suggested topics you would like us to cover in the future. So, on to today's video. What is AML and CFT? AML stands for anti-money laundering, while CFT stands for countering the financing of terrorism. Both AML and CFT are regulatory frameworks designed to prevent and combat financial crimes, safeguarding the integrity of the financial system and mitigating the risk associated with money laundering and terrorist financing. What AML-CFT regulations has the United States enacted? The United States has enacted several AML-CFT regulations to combat money laundering and terrorist financing activities. Some of the key regulations include the Bank Secrecy Act, BSA. Enacted in 1970, the Bank Secrecy Act is one of the primary AML-CFT regulations in the United States. It requires financial institutions to establish and maintain effective AML anti-money laundering programs, report certain transactions to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, and comply with various record-keeping and reporting requirements. USA Patriots Act. The USA Patriot Act, passed in response to the 9/11 terrorist attacks, expanded the scope of AML-CFT regulations in the United States. It introduced measures to enhance the detection and prevention of money laundering and terrorist financing activities, including provisions related to customer due diligence, enhanced scrutiny of foreign correspondent accounts, and increased cooperation among financial institutions, law enforcement agencies, and regulatory authorities. Foreign Account Tax Compliant Act, FATCA. FATCA, enacted in 2010, aims to combat tax evasion by requiring foreign financial institutions to report information about accounts held in US taxpayers to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS. FATCA includes provisions related to AML-CFT compliance, and it helps identify and prevent illicit financial activities by enhancing transparency and information sharing among tax authorities. Customer Due Diligence (CDD) Rule. The Customer Due Diligence Rule, issued by FinCEN in 2016, requires financial institutions to implement risk-based procedures for conducting customer due diligence, including collecting and verifying customer information, identifying beneficial owners of legal entity customers, and assessing the risk of money laundering and terrorist financing. International Money Laundering Abatement and Financial Anti-Terrorism Act, IML-FATFA. Enacted in 2001 as part of the US Patriot Act, IML-FATFA expanded the scope of money laundering offences and introduced measures to strengthen international cooperation in combating money laundering and terrorist financing. It enhanced penalties for money laundering offences and provided additional tools for law enforcement agencies to investigate and prosecute financial crimes. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, Sanctions Programme. OFAC administers and enforces economic and trade sanction programs targeting individuals, entities, and countries involved in illicit activities, including terrorism, narcotics trafficking, and proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Compliance with OFAC sanction programs is an essential component of AML CFT regulations in the United States, as it helps prevent prohibited transactions and disrupts illicit financial flows. These regulations, among others, form a comprehensive framework for AML CFT compliance in the United States, reflecting the country's commitment to combating financial crime and protecting the integrity of the financial system. How has the United States regulations affected AML and CFT? The United States regulations have had a significant impact on anti-money laundering AML and countering the financing of terrorism CFT efforts, both domestically and internationally. Here are several ways in which the US regulations have affected AML and CFT. Global standard setting. US regulations, particularly the Bank Secrecy Act (BSA) and the US Patriot Act, have set global standards for AML and CFT practices. Many countries have adopted similar regulatory frameworks to enhance their AML CFT regimes, aligning with international standards set by organisations such as the Financial Action Task Force, FATF. Enhanced compliance requirements. US regulations have introduced stringent compliance requirements for financial institutions and designated non-financial businesses and professions, DNFBPs. These requirements include implementing robust AML programs, conducting customer due diligence (CDD), filing suspicious activity reports (SARs), and adhering to sanction programs administered by the Office of Foreign Assets Control (OFAC). Increased scrutiny and enforcement. US regulators such as the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network (FinCEN), the Office of Comptroller of the Currency (OCC), and the Department of Justice (DOJ) have intensified their scrutiny and enforcement efforts to ensure compliance with AML CFT regulations. Financial institutions face significant penalties for non-compliance, including monetary fines, reputational damage, and legal sanctions. Technology and innovation. US regulations have spurred technological innovation in the AML CFT space. Financial institutions have invested in sophisticated systems and tools, such as transaction monitoring software, artificial intelligence (AI), and blockchain analytics, to enhance their capabilities in detecting and preventing financial crimes. Enhanced international cooperation. US regulations have promoted international cooperation in combating money laundering and terrorist financing activities. The US government works closely with foreign counterparts, regulatory agencies, and international organisations to exchange information, coordinate investigations, and enforce sanction programs on a global scale. Impact on global trade and financial flows. US regulations, particularly those related to sanction programs administered by OFAC, have had significant impact on global trade and financial flows. Compliance with US sanctions is essential for businesses and financial institutions operating internationally, as violations can result in severe consequences, including restricted access to US markets and financial systems. Overall, US regulations have played a crucial role in shaping AML/CFT efforts worldwide, driving improvements in compliance standards, technological innovation, and international cooperation. While the regulatory landscape continues to evolve, the United States maintains at the forefront of global efforts to combat financial crime and protect the integrity of international financial systems. How has the US AML/CFT regulations influenced global standards? The United States plays a crucial role in shaping global anti-money laundering (AML) and countering the financing of terrorism (CFT) standards through its comprehensive regulatory framework and influential position in the international financial system. Here's how the US AML/CFT regulations have influenced global standards. Leadership in setting standards. The US has been at the forefront of developing and promoting AML/CFT standards globally. Regulatory initiatives such as the Bank Secrecy Act (BSA) and the US Patriots Act have established robust requirements for financial institutions, serving as models for other countries seeking to enhance their AML/CFT regimes. Alignment with international organisations. The US actively participates in international forums and organisations dedicated to combating financial crime, such as the Financial Action Task Force (FATF). By aligning its AML/CFT regulations with FATF recommendations, the US reinforces global consensus on best practices and facilitates cooperation among jurisdictions. Extraterritorial reach of US regulations. Many US AML/CFT regulations have extraterritorial implications, impacting foreign financial institutions and businesses that conduct transactions involving US dollars or have connections to the US financial system. This incentivizes other countries to harmonize their AML/CFT regulations with US standards, to avoid regulatory conflicts and maintain access to global markets. Bilateral and multilateral agreements. The US often leverages bilateral and multilateral agreements to promote AML/CFT cooperation with other countries. These agreements facilitate information sharing, joint investigations, and mutual assistance in combating transnational financial crimes, thereby raising global AML/CFT standards and fostering greater collaboration among jurisdictions. Influence on financial institutions and multinational corporations. US-based financial institutions and multinational corporations operate globally and are subject to stringent AML/CFT regulations. To ensure compliance with US regulations and mitigate legal and reputational risk, these entities often implement AML/CFT standards consistent with US requirements across their international operations, thereby elevating global AML/CFT standards. Sanctions and enforcement actions. The US enforces AML/CFT regulations rigorously, imposing significant penalties on entities that violate compliance requirements or engage in illicit financial activities. High-profile enforcement actions and sanctions against foreign entities serve as deterrents and encourage other jurisdictions to strengthen their AML/CFT regimes to avoid similar scrutiny and penalties. Overall, US AML/CFT regulations exert a considerable influence on global standards by setting a precedent for robust regulatory frameworks, promoting international cooperation, and incentivizes compliance among financial institutions and businesses worldwide. As the global financial landscape continues to evolve, the United States remains a key driver in advanced AML/CFT efforts and fostering a more secure and resilient international financial system. Well, there you have it. What is AML CFT? What AML CFT regulations has the United States enacted? And how has the United States regulations affected AML and CFT standards globally? Please tell us in the comments section any other AML CFT regulations that are working in the fight against money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism, and any other topics you would like us to cover in the future. We have now launched our very own fully accredited courses for you to take a more in-depth look at a variety of subjects, such as Introduction to AML, Beneficial Ownership, and Customer Risk Rating, for example. So make sure you visit our website for further details, and let us help you connect the dots in KYC. Thank you for watching the video, and if you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe to watch more amazing videos.